Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Dave with Flying Leather Next Decals, and today we are going to have a look at Iteleri's brand new tool, 148 scale F-35 Bravo. This kit was announced a couple years ago. I've actually been looking forward to this kit ever since it was first released, or it was first announced, actually. At the time, I had Italeri 72nd scale F-35 and kind of made the logical assumption that their 48 scale kit would simply be an upscaled version of the 72nd scale one. While it still has, some minor issues, their 72nd scale kit was vastly superior to Kitty Hawk's 48 scale F-35. So knowing that the Italeri quarter scale kit would be their 72nd scale kit enlarged, I was really looking forward to it. Um, my modeling interest is almost exclusively aircraft operated by the Marine Corps, hence the Flying Leather Next decals. Um, but anyways, so upon getting the kit up front, I absolutely was not disappointed. Box, it's a fairly large box, so it's 4 inches tall, 11 inches wide, and 17 inches across. So, like I said, it's a good size box that the kit comes in. Um, licensed by Lockheed. Uh, I've been fortunate to where I actually have a couple of friends that fly the F-35, and I sent them links to Atelier's like press announcement from their official website that showed images of the completed model and whatnot. And both of them went through the photos, and the agreement between both of them was basically Atelier uh, pretty much nailed it. There's a couple of minor issues, but at the end of the day, for a good portion of the modeling community, it's not going to be that big of a concern to you. So personally, um, having two Marines that fly the F-35 kind of give the kid a thumbs up. That's pretty much enough for me. But anyways, with that, what I'm going to do is I actually have two of these, so I'm going to set this one aside, and then what we'll do is we'll go through all of the sprues individually, and I'll kind of touch up on some things that I see, uh, make some comparisons to a couple other kits, and just talk about the details that are provided. So, all right, let me set this aside, and I'll go ahead and grab the first spruce. All right, so first things we'll go ahead and cover are the upper and lower fuselage halves. Um, so obviously, this kit is a new release. So most of the kits that are making their way to modelers now are first runs. So with that said, my kit has absolutely no flash and no molding flaws whatsoever. Nice, crisp, clean uh, moldings. A couple of very, very minor spots of flash, but absolutely nothing a quick swipe with a sanding stick or an X-Acto blade isn't going to take care of. One thing that I did like that was nice is on the lower fuselage half, there's sprues that pretty much maintain the integrity of the part, during the whole packing and shipping process. So obviously, if there's a step where that gets removed as you assemble the kit. Um, the details, the raised ram panels, they're a little bit high. However, I honestly believe that once a coat of paint is applied, and you add a little bit of weathering, and yes, the aircraft do weather even with the half glass paint job. They got some wear to them. Couple of panel lines, a little bit deep. The raised ram is slightly high, but you can choose to knock that down with a sanding pad or sanding stick, or leave it alone. Personally, I'm gonna leave it just the way it is. So, anyways, a uh, really nice aspect of the kit is where it is split. Now, it's been a while since I've had the Kitty Hawk kit, but I believe that it was designed the same way. And, for any of you out there that are building models for any length of time, you know that most aircraft, regardless of what they are, that are produced by multiple manufacturers, they're all pretty much broken down the same way. I mean, there's some aircraft, there's only so many ways you can break them down. So, anyways, the nice thing about this one is the fit is absolutely amazing. And where the parts go together, once you do a very light cleanup, and do the assembly, you're really not going to need. I don't see a need for any filler whatsoever. Maybe a little bit in a couple of spots, but using a good either liquid cement or whatever your preferred glue is, once you get these glued together, maybe a quick swipe, again with a soft sanding stick or pad, should basically take care of those seams. All right, the size of the F-35, I touched up on this in a live video I did on Facebook the other night, and it was actually it's been mentioned by other modelers as well. And this obviously is not the first comparison, but the F-35 is a fairly large aircraft, and roughly the same size as the F-18 Super Hornet. So, obviously the wings aren't on, but you can get a good idea. It's a large aircraft. So, all right, so that's set that aside. Let's go ahead and set this fuselage off the side. There. So, and I'm not going to do these in any particular order. I was actually I was looking at this kit live on Facebook, but I really wasn't happy with the video quality, so decided to do a new standalone review, just recording. The clear parts are really, really nice and clear. There's actually 2 clear sprues in the kit. So obviously you get the canopy, and then you get the cover for the sensors under the nose. The canopy and the cover are both in a tinted sprue. It's kind of got like a yellowish, bronzy hue to it. On my kit, the sprues are bagged separately from the rest of the parts, but even with that, the very top of my canopy has it's kind of like a really light blemish, kind of like it got scuffed, but I'm sure a quick polish will take care of that. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is as I go over the parts and discuss some of the items, whether the lack of flash or blemishes on parts or whatnot, that doesn't necessarily mean that the kit that you get is going to have the same issues. Obviously, these things are produced in batches of hundreds, if not thousands, and I'm sure across the production run, you're going to have varying degrees of quality on the different kits. So always keep that in mind, when you watch a review. Just because the kit that's being reviewed at the time has flaws or might have some flash issues, that doesn't necessarily mean that every other kit is going to have those same issues. So anyways, you got the canopy, sensor cover. There are lights for the wingtips, and then this is the piece that actually goes under this on the bottom of the nose. So, and there's a depression on the bottom of the fuselage that sensor piece fits under. So there's clear parts. All right, the next sprue covers the forward and trailing edge flaps. So the leading and trailing edge flaps. It's got the upper and lower wing sections, the horizontal tails, as well as the vertical tails. It also has the pylons for the LAU 151 missile launchers on the outboard wing stations. Again, very nice, crisp moldings. No ejector pin marks visible on the outside surfaces, and what ejector pin marks there are all on the inside. They're very, very faint. It doesn't appear that any of them need to be cleaned. This one has like a little tiny raised piece of flash. So, obviously, your modelers, I'm sure you've built kits before. You just want to, check your fit, make sure everything fits before you apply cement. And that's it. Again, quality of the moldings is excellent. The ram panels on the vertical tails and the horizontal tails are actually very well done. There is a modeler on a website that using different programs and photos, in his opinion, the vertical tails may be the portions may be a little bit incorrect. They might be a little bit too tall, and the angles may be a little bit off. I believe he is coming out with a resin correction. I obviously don't know when. I don't have any more information than that, so I'm sorry. However, keep in mind that they may in fact correct the kit, but what you do get out of the box is absolutely fantastic. And most decal manufacturers are going to design their decals to fit the kit parts. So always keep that in mind when you buy aftermarket. It may correct the kit part, but that doesn't necessarily mean that decals that you have are going to fit them now. So just something to be aware of. So, all right. So that is the sprue with the wings and the control surfaces. All right, the next sprue contains the engine, a fuselage bulkhead, the main landing gear, wells, various doors, panels, the nose cone, the engine exhaust, the ejection seat, and looks like some other landing gear parts. Again, like the previous sprues, everything is very well molded. Everything is nice and crisp. No ejector pin marks. The instrument panel, looking and comparing this to photographs of the real item, what few photographs there are out there of the F-35 cockpit, it's fairly accurate. Personally, I don't see a need for an aftermarket cockpit of this aircraft. The few published photos of the F-35 cockpit that are out there show that there's really not a whole lot to the cockpit. So an aftermarket honestly is probably not going to be necessary. The one thing that may really help this kit is even the ejection seat is really, really nice. However, the photo etched belts and harnesses that it's included in the kit, to me, they're a little bit too plain, and there's something about them that just doesn't quite look right. So hopefully, Edward will come out with a better set of seat belts and harnesses for the ejection seat. But one thing on this sprue, and I'll touch up on this on the other sprue that has the other wheels, is The one biggest negative are the wheels. So this is the nose wheel, and I know Italeri is trying to provide, you know, like the flat surface to give like a weighted appearance, but quite honestly, that's way too flat. Um, no real aircraft would ever have a tire that flat. Uh, Now, Armory Models does have a aftermarket wheel set that was actually for the Kitty Hawk kits. However, I really don't see an issue using them on the Italeri kit. You may need to modify the mounting holes for the landing gear, but other than that, they should work. And they're not as weighted as this, so they're got a much more realistic appearance. Um, the exhaust, again, uh, there are aftermarket exhausts out there for the Kitty Hawk kit. Uh, Obviously, can't guarantee that they're going to fit the Italeri kit, but if you've got them on hand, you may want to replace the exhaust. While it is very nicely detailed, it's a little bit too thick. I do have good high resolution shots of the aft end of the F-35, and the pedals are not this thick. So again, almost no ejector pin marks, and those that are present are minimal to almost non-existent. Like I said, they're very difficult to see, and they may not even be an issue. So that's that screw. All right, so the next screw covers the intakes, the lift fan door. It has the cockpit. It has the weapons bays, and the weapons bay doors. These two pieces here uh, go in the aft on the aft fuselage once the upper and lower halves are put together. And what that does is that kind of blanks off that area. For those of you that have had the Kitty Hawk kit, you know that once the fuselage halves went together, there were actually gaping holes on the sides of the exhaust that needed to be filled. And obviously, Italeri designed their kit where that is not an issue. Again, all of the parts are very nicely molded, no flash whatsoever. Uh, Again, the ejector pin marks in areas that aren't going to be an issue. A good example is the lift fan door. So you've got, you know, 3 ejector pin marks on this side and 3 here, but this piece goes on this piece, you know, with these 2 surfaces being on the inside. So obviously those ejector pin marks aren't going to be an issue. The same with the intakes. There are 4 ejector pin marks on each side, but they're in a place that once you get the intakes together, they're more than likely not even going to be visible. So you may want to take care of the 2 here and the 2 here, but I'm pretty certain that the back ones, I mean, unless you're just the type of modeler that, you know, you want to remove them because you know that they're not there anymore, that's fine, but they are simply not going to be visible once the intakes are put together. So that is that sprue. All right, so here's this last sprue, and there are some really nice things about this, and there's some cons about this as well. So here's the nice thing. This is the weapon sprue. It's got an Aero 58 skid, which is mostly used aboard carriers. We've got them on land bases as well. There were a couple times. It's mostly Navy Aussie. However, for those of you that don't know, I am a retired Marine aviation ordnanceman. There were a couple places where we had the Aero 58 skids, but this is primarily an item that you're going to find aboard either aircraft carriers or LHDs or LPDs or what have you. So it is a nice addition. And the nice thing is on this particular sprue, So you actually get 2 of them in the kit. All right, so you get obviously you get 2 because you've got to have all the weapons pylons, the missile launchers, and what have you. Another nice addition is the gun pod. So, and again, because you get 2 sprues, you get 2 gun pods. So for those of you that still have the Kitty Hawk kits in your collection and you do plan on building them, you've now got a gun pod that you can put on it, and you still have your gun pod for the Italeri kit. However, comparing the Italeri kit to the Kitty Hawk kit, and I no longer have it in my possession, but I've had several over the course of several years. There's really no comparison. The Italeri kit is just it's superior in every conceivable way. But like I said, there's several out there that you're still going to want to build your Kitty Hawk kit, and now you've got a gun pod to add to it. Ordnance. Okay, I'm an ordnance guy. All right, some of this stuff I've dealt with on a personal level over the course of several years. The La 151s, compared to photos and information that I've been able to find online, the La 151s match up really well to the real item, so those aren't really an issue. The AIM 9X and the AIM 120 Charlie, while nice, I would definitely probably replace these with aftermarket items. There are also AIM 9X and AIM 120 that are included in various kits like the Meng Super Hornets, Hasegawa weapon sets. All of those are better than what Italeri gives you. So they're usable, but there are better out there. All right, so here are the issues with a couple of the items that come in the kit. So the GBU-12s, they're nicely detailed, but the proportions of the Mark 82 bomb body are completely off. The shape is it's all sorts of wrong. So the GBU-12, I would definitely just toss and again go the aftermarket route. Or there are GBU-12s included in the Tamiya F-16, the Air National Guard boxing. Those are really, really nice. The GBU-12s in the Hasegawa weapon set are nice. Like I said, AMK has GBU-12s in their U.S. Ordnance set. Those are nice as well. Regardless of where you get your GBU-12 from, I would replace the ones from the kit with any one of those. So, all right. So here's the biggest issue as far as the ordnance. All right. So this JDAM here in the box, it is marked as a GBU-31. Okay, the GBU-31 is a 2,000-pound JDAM based off of the Mark 84 warhead. Okay, the instructions have it marked as a GBU-31. The strakes on the side have the characteristics and the detail of the GBU-31 strake. Okay, now here's the issue. So I removed this from the other sprue, so I'm going to set this one aside. All right, here's the issue. I've got 2 weapon sets here. So I've got 1/48 scale Mark 84 2,000-pound bombs from Flying 11X, and then I have our 1/48 scale GBU-32s, which are 1,000-pound JDAMs. All right, so this is supposed to be a GBU-31 that uses the Mark 84 warhead. Okay, this is a 48 scale Mark 84. All right. Obviously, if this is a quarter scale Mark 84 and this is supposed to be a GBU-31 that's based off the Mark 84, Italeri screwed the pooch. All right. Now, here is a 48 scale GBU-32, okay, which is based off the Mark 83, the 1,000-pound bomb. Okay, it actually is much closer to what Italeri gives you. Right, so my conclusion is this is actually supposed to be a GBU-32. Okay, they just need to be tossed. There's really no other options. These are not even remotely close to any real bomb. They're the wrong size for either the GBU-32 or the GBU-31. They have the wrong details, so I would go the aftermarket route. Again, you can use our GBU-32 from Flying Leathernecks. Edward Brasson has some nice ones. And I believe there's several other kits out there that have GBU-32 in their kits, but I definitely would not use the Italeri options. So, all right, so that's pretty much the kit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the decal placement guides and the decal sheet real quick. Let's actually do the decal sheet. It is printed by Cartograph. It's actually got it down here in the corner that it's printed by Cartograph. For any of you that have ever used any Cartograph printed decals, whether it be from the likes of Bullseye, Fighter Town, Furball, some of our earliest sheets at Flying Leathernecks, several kit manufacturers have used Cartograph. Their print quality is absolutely fantastic, and so you've got no registration issues. Everything is crisp and legible, even down to the smallest stencils. The only issue with the decals, and it's a really minor nitpick actually. So the bureau numbers, the 6-digit bureau numbers for the 2 Marine Corps options, okay, on the real aircraft, the bureau number itself is 4 inches high. The aircraft designator, in this case the F-35 Bravo, on the real aircraft are 2 inches high. Okay, that's pretty much a given across the board, regardless of the aircraft. The Marines on the side of the fuselage and the upper and lower wings are 7 inches tall on the real aircraft. Okay, now on the kit decal, the Marines is the correct size, so these actually scale out to 7 inches tall. Okay. The problem is with the bureau numbers. So the bureau numbers scale out to a little over 5 scale inches tall, and the F-35B is a little bit closer to 3. Now that in and of itself is really not that big of an issue. However, when you look at the bureau number compared to the Marines on the decal sheet, and then you look at the bureau number on the real aircraft compared to the Marines on the real aircraft, you see the difference. It doesn't quite, it looks just off. And I would venture to guess that 95% of the modelers out there aren't going to care. Honestly, I'm gonna build these 2 kits, and one of them I'm actually going to use the VMFA 225 option, and I'm going to use the bureau number just as it comes. I'm just pointing it out there just so you know and you're aware. So if you want to go the aftermarket route to correct that issue, or just go the aftermarket route because you don't like the options that come in this kit, then that's fine as well. All of the stencils are, again, it's pretty thorough. The instrument panel decal is amazing. I mean, all the detail that's on there is fantastic. Keep in mind though, if you're modeling the aircraft, and shut down and on the deck, with Ordnance and the canopy open, that's not going to be on. So, and if you do a Google search, there are pictures out there of the cockpit, and the screen is just kind of like almost like a TV screen is off. It's got that hue to it. But again, it's got markings for the GBU-12, the AIM-9X, gives you extra decals for bombs, but I'm not quite sure there's only enough for 2 on there, so that's a little odd because they give you 6 JDAM, and there's only enough. There's just not enough decals for what they give you in the box. It's got AIM-120, it's got markings for the gun pod. And again, you get 2 gun pods, but enough markings for 1. So that's going to be a little rough if you want to use the other one. But then again, you can paint it. All right, but that's it for the decal sheet. All right, let's go ahead and go over the guide. The decal placement guide is actually a really nice touch. It's a little bit different in the fact that it's actually a separate booklet compared to the instruction sheet. So it's in full color. Of course, this is just a reproduction of what's on the box. The only thing I thought was odd is it's got a full color reproduction of the decal sheet on the back, which I really don't know what purpose that serves, but it's there. One thing I thought was actually kind of nice, and I've never seen this before, to my knowledge, in any other kit, is it actually gives you a blank sheet for assembly notes. So if you want to make, if you want to make notes about, as you build the model for the next one, you've got a place to do it. I thought that was kind of nice. So the first sheet is, of course, the top side of the aircraft, and it shows all the decal placement. These are for the general airframe stencil markings, so that's nice. The second page is the bottom, and then you've got the port and starboard sides, again, showing placement of all the stencil data. All right, and then you've got basically the decal placements for the primary squadron markings. You've got a total of, you've got 2 options for RAF machines, both from 2019. One of them is with the 207 OCU, and that's aircraft 151. And then you've got ZM 145 from 617 Squadron, again, both from 2019. The next option is a U.S. Marine Corps option from VMFAT 501 at Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort in North Carolina. Actually, no, that's actually incorrect. Marine Corps Air Station Beaufort is in South Carolina, so that's actually that's a typo. It's from 2018, and it's VM number 168060 with the full color squadron markings. All right, the next option is another Marine Corps aircraft from VMFA 225. This is bureau number 169165 at a Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma, Arizona, and this is from 2021. All right, the last option is an Italian aircraft, MM7451 from the 4th Gruppo from 2019. And again, on the lift fan, it's got, Italian flag, which is, looking at the decal sheet, it's actually really, really done. All the little details are nice and crisp and clear on the decal sheet. So the last page is it gives you basically quarter scale drawings of the gun pod, the missiles and the bombs that are included in the kit, and their decal placement. Again, the gun pod is really nice, and it gives you 2. The AIM-9X are nice, the AIM-120 are nice, but could definitely stand to be replaced. The GBU-12 and their misidentified and completely wrong GBU-31, these just need to be tossed and replaced altogether. So, and then it's got the color callouts, the paints to use. And now one thing that is incorrect is, so for the overall paint scheme, they have Federal Standard 36270 flat medium gray, which is incorrect. So that's correct color for the F-35 is 36170. It's made by MRP. It's done by Hitaka, and I believe there's a couple other manufacturers out there that have this paint color in their line. And then MRP also gives you the half glass varnish. So again, make sure that don't use the 270. It's the wrong color. Try to find you the 36170 so you can paint your aircraft accurately. Excuse me. All right, so again, the last little part is, I forgot about this, I'm sorry, is the photo etch fret, and it gives you the belts and harnesses. And then there's a piece that goes on the aft bulkhead and the cockpit that, personally, I don't really see why it's necessary. But, if you choose to use it, obviously more than welcome. It's your kit. So, but there's the photo etch fret. All right, the instruction sheet. It's a really nice booklet. I kind of like the way they did it. I'm not a fan of the big foldouts. This is more of a booklet form. Like most Italeri instructions and other manufacturers, it's got it in the various languages. Um, Obviously, the aircraft information. Again, typical parts layouts, what comes in the kit, parts that aren't used or shadowed. So in this case, it's got the second gun pod. Assembly starts with the cockpit, again, like most kits do. The ejection seat and the cockpit tub itself. It also has the color callouts for painting the various items. Step 2 is completion of the cockpit and its insertion into the top fuselage half. Again, here's the photo etch part that I was mentioning. If you close the canopy, you may not even need to include that. And other than it having a few rivets around the edge, that may not even be necessary. It goes on to attaching the upper wings to the upper fuselage. Step 3 is the assembly of the vertical tail surfaces, as well as their attaching to the upper fuselage half. One thing that a lot of you are probably going to do is wait until closer to the end to attach those. I know I probably will be. Another nice, interesting feature is it gives you these two antennae here. And what these are, for those of you that aren't aware, is when the aircraft is typically being operated stateside, training missions and what have you, the addition of these two items allows the aircraft to be seen on radar. So obviously this is a stealth aircraft, and its sole purpose is to minimize its radar cross-section so it can't be seen by enemy radar stations. Excuse me. But obviously during training, you want to be visible. So if you're depicting your model in a combat environment, you've got live ordnance and you want to depict it like it's forward deployed, make sure that you do not add those two parts. So, all right, the next, excuse me, the next step is adding, forgive me. The next step is adding the holes for the main weapons pylons, if you choose to add them. Obviously, if you're going slick, don't bother opening up the holes. It also has the removal of the sprues that I was telling you that kind of help with the integrity of the parts. Again, the center fuselage section for the bottom. Assembly of the nose and main landing gear bays. Now, one thing I pointed out in my live video is the way this diagram is drawn. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to add the nose landing gear once the bay is assembled and put into the aircraft. So it's one of those things where you hope it does, because if not, you're going to have all the landing gear sticking out during assembly, and I don't like that. It does appear that the main landing gear can be installed after the fact, but I'm not sure about the nose. The weapons bays, it's basically it's a real simple affair. You've got the main bay, you've got the bulkhead, the bomb racks, and then the tubing for this side. Now, one thing, there are some pictures of the weapons bays of the F-35 available online. They are very, very busy. There's actually a lot going on in there. So it'll obviously be up to you whether or not you want to add all that detail. But the nice thing is the weapons bays are designed in such a way that it's going to be relatively easy to add all the electrical wiring and the plumbing and everything else that's visible in there. Of course, if you're going to close up the bomb bays, you don't need to worry about any of that. Step 9, just again, different parts of the lift fan system that gets applied. Now, another area that I touched up on previously is this insert is for the boarding ladder. Okay, it's unclear because obviously I haven't put the kit together. So this says only for extended ladder version. Okay, well, not 100% sure if that means that if you're going to close it, that you don't need that. But later on, you'll see that it appears that the outside face of this insert provides the backing for the actual door to fit on should you choose to close it. So just make sure you pay attention to that and double check that before you close up your fuselage halves. Again, step 10 is just basically adding all the weapons bays and landing gear bays to the lower fuselage. 11 is the assembly of all the internal components, the engines, the fans, the intakes, as well as inserting them into the fuselage itself. Step 12, again, here are the two pieces that I mentioned earlier that kind of blank off this area. And again, those of you that have the Kitty Hawk or have had the Kitty Hawk kit, you'll know that those were pretty much, there was nothing there and you had to fill it on your own. Then, of course, adding the lower and upper fuselage halves together. Attaching the lower wings. Again, the antennas, which is part 9K. Again, if you're depicting your model in a combat environment, don't include those. The sensor underneath the nose. Going on to step 15, you've got adding on the leading and trailing edge flaps, the horizontal control surfaces, everything for both sides of the aircraft. Step 16 is assembling the ordnance. So you get the AIM-120, the AIM-9X, the GB-12, and the GB-31, as well as the gun pod. Step 17, again, the nice thing about the instructions is pretty straightforward. It looks like there's a lot of parts, but once you actually start looking at the instruction sheets and you kind of look at the breakdown, it's actually very, very well done. The exhausts, it gives you both a straight option as well as a lowered option if you're going to depict it in the V-stall mode. Of course, the addition of the various doors. Showing the weapons bay doors in the closed position. Now, one thing I did, one thing that was pointed out by both my friends that fly the F-35 is if the aircraft is in beast mode, and with that as being like, all the weapons pylons and fully loaded, it's more than likely not going to take off in the V-stall configuration. It's going to be the standard typical rolling takeoff and landing. So keep that in mind when you're building your model. Again, it gives you the options for both the V-stall configured exhaust as well as the standard rolling takeoff. When the aircraft is on the deck, every photograph that I've ever seen of the F-35 on the ground, the engine exhaust is in the up position. So again, the various doors, assembling it. Step 21 is attaching the bombs in the bomb bay as well as the gun pod. 22 is the missiles. It shows the different configurations. Again, 24, step 24 and 25 is showing the installation of the weapons bay doors in the open configuration. Step 26, landing gear doors. 27 is landing gear doors on the opposite side. 28 is the nose landing gear doors. 29 is the addition of the wheels. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I strongly recommend replacing the wheels and tires on this kit just simply because the flat edge that Italeri depicted is just much too flat and unrealistic. Step 30 is the outboard and inboard wing pylons. So it's got your conventional ordnance pylons as well as the pylons that hold the L-151 missile launcher. Um, Step 31 is actually attaching, the bombs and missiles to their respective pylons. Step 32 is the ladder. Again, you can have it in the extended open position or the closed. And once again, I'm not 100% sure, but it appears that that insert that I discussed provides the gluing surface of the face for the actual door if you're going to have it in the closed position. So make sure you look at that, prior to assembling everything. Step 33 is the frame of the canopy as well as its attachment to the canopy itself. That I think is a really nice touch. There's very few kits that usually provide internal framing. And again, it's also got the attachment of the lift fan doors in the closed position and the canopy in the closed position as well as the pitot tubes. Step 34 is basically showing all those components in the open position. 35 is the assembly of the Aero 58 weapon skid, how to attach the bombs to them. One thing I thought was interesting is it shows you how to assemble the skid, how to use the adapter on the bomb, but on the parts layout, it actually has the adapters for the skid shadowed. So obviously you're going to use those if you're going to use the skid. And that's it. Quite honestly, I know there was a lot of there were quite a few modelers out there that were a little bit hesitant. It's been touched on before by other modelers. Italeri is kind of hit and miss. They've got some kits that are absolutely fantastic. They have some kits that are good, and they have some kits that just aren't. This, to be quite honest with you, is one of their better kits. I am personally really impressed. It basically fills a gap in current Marine Corps aviation, as well as several other services. I know the Air Force and the Navy operate them, as well as several foreign countries. But for me, again, my personal modeling interest is exclusively Marine Corps. So, building a Marine Expeditionary Unit, the aviation combat element, it's just going to be that much better. Now we've got the Hobby Boss V22, and of course, even though it's hard to find, the Academy 50 CH-53s. Kitty Hawk has the UH-1Ys and the AH-1Zs. Hasegawa's AV-8B Harriers, which obviously are being replaced by the F-35. But being able to build a Mu now is just that much easier. So again, it is an expensive kit. At Hanet's, the U.S. price is, I think, around $80 to $90. I don't know what it's going to be here in the U.S. It hasn't hit any of the retailers here yet. I'm going to venture to guess, though, it's going to be a pretty pricey kit. So keep that in mind. Again, I don't know exactly what the retail price is going to be. But I got a feeling it's going to be a bit on the expensive side. But it is a very well done kit, and it is at the moment absolutely the best 1/48 scale F-35B out there. So I would highly recommend picking one up. So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review, and you all enjoy the rest of your day. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.